I think we are alive. I think we're good to go. I just saw my hair this morning is kind of doing some sort of little swoop. My hair is doing a little whoop today. I don't know why it's going whoop, but we'll roll with it. We'll roll with it. What's up, guys? Canadian Guy here, and welcome back to our Saturday morning Spyro Yap Sesh. Now today there's been a lot. The past few weeks we've been doing quite a few Yap sessions that are lasting about 2 hours. I got a feeling this one's going to only last an hour because in terms of official things coming out this week, not a lot came out. There is going to be some things that we are going to talk about still, but we're going to be probably having this more of an open format to see what you guys want to talk about and go from there. And then, you know me, typically I find things to rant and talk about, and it's me. So, all right. So, let us begin with something that I actually did bring up and talk about, and something that I will be talking about at length. What does your cup say? Oh, I got it for Father's Day. It says number one dad, and then it says Super Daddy-O. I was like, oh, that's so cute and corny. I love it. Yeah, for Father's Day. And it's actually a really good thermos. Really good tumbler. I like it. Keeps things pretty warm for hours. To my detriment, I made from a kettle. I made a hot chocolate with it, and it was like, oh, it's really has burning my lips. And 2 hours later, it was still hot. I was just like, I want to drink this, and I can't drink it because it's still hot. So, but yeah, no, I had gotten that for Father's Day, and it was really cute. So we'll just wait a few minutes here for everyone to get in. How's it going? How's it going? What's open format? Open format is just like open floor. You guys chat. I will respond, and we just kind of hang out. I got a feeling it's only going to be like I said, probably about an hour today. But after that, but we'll see. You know me. We can go up to 2 hours, but I got a feeling we'll only be an hour today. But maybe we'll go in between. Minimum an hour, maximum 2. I have to call it 2 because we're going to have our ice cream at 3 o'clock. So I need to get ready for that. So I do apologize for not streaming yesterday. So I spent all day yesterday. What happened was that I was finishing up a project, and I was having some issues with my computer. Things weren't exporting correctly. Things were kind of going weird. And I looked and I saw that 3 out of my 5 hard drives were in the red. So I realized, I was like, I think I need to fix that. Babs, how's it going? So I was like, all right, I got to fix this. I got to sort this out. And I spent all day, all last night, fixing things, adjusting things. I couldn't get my alerts back up and running yet because my Stream Deck is being a butt. But I think I got mostly fixed. I just need to do a few more things, and then I got distracted. But I digress. The point is that I had to do some clerical work for the PC to make sure it was all nice and fixed, to make sure it was all good. Also, my camera was running really red. If you guys don't know, in my recent recordings, there's a few that slipped through where we didn't do some color correction, where things were coming in really, really red. I seem to have been able to fix and adjust that. But for some reason, so I was tweaking that too, and we got that looking half decent now. I got to figure out why the camera likes to go red. I don't know if that is something to do with the camera. I don't know if it's got to do with if it's something breaking, which I hope not. But overall, I wanted to spend yesterday doing some clerical work for the PC and getting that all set up. So we're going to dive into our first subject, which I'm going to wait to get into the main meat of the matter so that we can get as many people in here as possible. We're at 69 viewers. Funny number. Doing well. I bought Mass Effect 3 on Wii U. Such a weird version of the game. That is a strange version of the game. So, all right. Let's ask a question that I think that a lot of people are wondering. And I'm curious as to what some people feel and think. Should there be, other than Spyro, let's go to something a little bit more bigger. Should we have other playable characters that are non-dragons? Let me start there. And I'm not saying, oh, it's not a dragon, it's a wyvern, or oh, it's not a dragon, it's a flying salamander. No, I'm not talking. I'm saying a character that is a non-dragon character that you can't just swap the controls one to one and call it different. I'm saying different controls, completely different controls. Now, here's where things are going to be interesting about that. If you build a world, that is built around flight, right? When you build a world around flight, the thing is when you're building a whole world in a game, you're building it around your main character, and the main character being able to have some sort of kinetic free flight, you can't just swap that character from that world and just drop in a regular character and call it a day. There's going to be a design, issue, unless we create areas that are dedicated to that newer playable character. So there's also a follow-up question. Should we get new characters or legacy characters that are playable? Flying, right? They would either have to separate sort of levels or close off areas for characters that don't fly. That's why I'm hoping for new Dragon / new Cinder. For Spyro 1, Spyro 2 type of gameplay. Okay. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not huge on the idea. It would be the end of the world, but I prefer to being only Spyro. And that's fair too. That's all fair. 57%. Okay. Legacy with special missions. I also don't want to feel like Skylanders with too many playable characters. That too. Both new and old. So, would you guys be opposed to, like, if they were to do side mini games where you played as different characters? And I'm more like also asking this to the people that are like, hey, Die Hard, I just want to play as Spyro. It's like, okay, so instead of there being like a dedicated level for a different character, what if there was like some side missions where you get to play as a different character? Would you be more inclined to being okay with that? So, for example, I don't know, the sheep got out of the pen and you got to play as Alora to get them to run around, grab the sheep, and get them back into the pen. I'm just giving an example, just a broad stroked example where it's, okay, if you just want Spyro, what if there was a completely separate side mission or side thing where you got to play as a different character in just more of like some of these interesting things? Yeah, Sergeant Bird has the free play. That is funny. That is funny. Do you think the new flight will ruin the platformer aspect of Spyro? No. But with an asterisk. Because, I did make a video about this. Excuse me. I did just do a video about this. And as long as they don't turn around and just go, hey, let's just do Spyro levels that we made in the past with free flight. No. It's like, yeah, no. No, no, you can't do that. You can't go 1-to-1 original OG Spyro levels with free, and then just give them free flight and call it a day. No, I don't. No, that's not that. You can't do that. But you can still have your platforming aspect if you build the platforming around your new mechanics, right? So if you build a new mechanic and then you build your platforming around those new mechanics, then you can still have those platforming aspects that made Spyro, the original Spyro games, a lot of fun while still having that. So as long as they don't turn around and get bogged down by the original, stuff, that would be cool. Also, too, there's areas that you might be able to not be able to have free flight in. Right? I made an example where imagine there's like caves, or you got to go underground, or you got to go to a certain area where flight is not really possible, or if it is, it's very limited. And then when you go back into the overworld, it take off again, right? So no inverted mode. I think we can safely say that we don't want an inverted mode, and I'm pretty sure that they're not going to do it, because I think that was the number one complained thing about Crash Bandicoot 4 was the inverted mode. That was the biggest thing that even I complained about. I even complained directly to Lou about it. Like, remember, I did an interview with Lou where it was harsh, and I outright told Lou, it was like, yeah, people did not like the inverted mode, and it's a really big critique thing. And he was like, well, this was our thought process. Did we land it? Maybe not so much. So next time we're gonna have to figure that out, right? And I think that was the number one pain spot was overall was unfortunately the loss of or the having to do the inverted mode. I think that I think also having to 100% the inverted mode was also kind of crazy. I think that's another thing that was kind of wild. So overall, my thought is that because it's going to lead into the next thing that I'm going to be talking about. When it comes to side playable characters, I don't think we can go out into the open world as a side playable character. I think having some genuine, fun mini games that are genuinely fun, that are potentially reoccurring, I would rather play, like, for example, I would rather play the same style of mini game throughout the game that's genuinely fun than 5 mediocre ones. Right? I genuinely do not like how mediocre some of the mini games were in Spyro 3. Some of them were amazing. Some of them were, and then we never see them again, right? It's like, oh, we had this one really cool mini game, and then okay, and we never revisit that, right? I would rather play as Allura collecting the sheep back into the pens 5 times through the game and 5 different variations, as long as it's made to be fun, versus 5 variant completely different mini games and they just turn out to be kind of bland and mediocre. If that makes sense. So, and I'm just saying Allura collecting the sheep as an example, right? Which watch, there's going to be like Allura attending the animal mini game just because I said it, and it's going to happen now, and everyone's going to look back at this and be like, you said it! He said it! It's going to be right. Like for example, in Spyro 3, the only reoccurring one was the skateboarding. That was it. And it happened, what was it, 2 levels? It's 2 levels, right? I have lost my cowlicks. Please, no, I hated that. Please, no. So, okay. Before we get to the next thing about playable characters, there's a specific character that I want to talk about. Before we get there. Why is everyone saying 3? Before we get there, let me quickly pull something up. Because there's something that I kind of want to talk about but I want to speak about for a moment, if possible. Do I have it open? I don't have it open. I do not have it open. Hang on a second. It was 3 skateboarding areas. That's right. It was 2 or 3. I was wondering, why is everyone saying 3? Oh, 3. Super bonus round. Are we really going to include super bonus round? That was, especially, well, I mean, specifically in Reignited, that was super bonus. Yeesh. Okay. Give me a second here. Do I have it on hand? If I don't, that's okay. Actually, no, I think I can do this. Let me do this and do this. There we go. Bingo, bango, bongo. Okay. So we're going to go to the screen real quick. Doop. I kind of want to talk quickly about this building here. And part of the reason why I want to talk about it is if we zoom up real close, okay? There's something that I want to point out here. So we can see, of course, all the different gems that are kind of littered throughout this. And there's a whole bunch of lore implications when it comes to this, right? They're all powered up. That's cool. But what I want to talk about is, yeah, it does look like the staff, right? It kind of does look like the staff and kind of similar in shape a little bit. But what I want to talk about is actually this here. You have a whole bunch of scaffolding here, right? And I can't help but think, and this is something that was brought up by our Deerhead mod Katie, because she sent it to me, and she was really like adamant about this scaffolding here. Does it not look like a base? Like where a bunch of villains would be. We don't see them. But there's something that we both kind of came to the conclusion about. Where, what if, and I know some people are going to groan at this, but I mean, I'm going to talk about it anyway. I just want you to think for a second. Just hear me out. Whoa! We got our first donation to the stream, and it's a big one. $50 from a... Oh, gosh. Wow. Did everyone just decide to donate at the same time? Whoa! Ah! We got 3 donations. Bingo, bango, bongo. Okay. Thank you so much, Elena, for the $50 super chat. $5 for Grandma. She's watching. Please say hi, everyone. Hi! You still have 11 and 12 0 subs. I know, don't play the Xbox Showcase, not counting hot shots that you did verbally. My mom plays one too. Set aside for PC repairs. Thank you so much, Elena, for the $50. $50 super chat. Bingo bango. Then we have $5 super chat from Monster Society. 2 dragons walk into a bar. The first dragon says, "It sure is hot in here." The second one says, "Shut your mouth." It's funny. It's funny. I like it. Thank you so much. And then Dark Gold, really $5. Hi, AC, just wanted to say hi to everyone, and I'm at my niece's recital right now, but yeah, I'll join later. I had an extra $5 for this, by the way. See you guys. Thank you, Dark Gold. Thank you. We appreciate it. Jeez, like bam, bam, bam. Got a little train going right away. Bang, 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 bang. All right. So let's quickly talk about this for a moment. I am thinking, and after we sat down and we talked about it, me and Katie, the idea that we thought was the one thing that is mechanically that we always see about these types of more open world games is you have towers. You have towers that typically are used as when you clear the tower, you reveal your map, right? It's like when you clear the tower, you reveal the map to be able to see all the secrets around it. And then typically there are enemies in those camps, which after you beat them, you then get, the items. So what I'm wondering is, are they going for a hybrid approach here where you have a camp of some sorts that Spyro has to clear, and he has to fly up to the top of the tower to fight these creatures, and then once it's cleared, he's good to go. It could be really cool because I'm just picturing here, you fly up and then you land onto here. He's fighting, and then things start to get heated. Spyro could turn, run off, jump off here, fly down, back up here, then fly back up to here, land and then attack. And then as things get more spicy, these crystals could like send energy beams or trying to attack Spyro as he's trying to fly around. And then maybe to finish it off, he has to break the chains. Like there's a whole bunch of ways that this could go. Hey, is it Izzywick? I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Donate $5 super chat. The fact that the game will be more story driven and narrative stakes makes me more excited. Nice breath of fresh air. Indeed. That would be amazing. And it is going to be amazing. Thank you so much for the $5. I appreciate that. So I think that this is a really, hi, Luca. Finally, I kept the stream. Luca, how's it going? Happy that you were able to catch the stream. So I'm wondering, and I'm very curious, how much of this is going to be done in a way that is going to make... Is it going to be a la Breath of the Wild? Is it going to be something new, something different, something of its own volition? I don't know, but I'm really excited. And I will admit, I'm a little bit disappointed that we didn't see anything from Spyro this week. I'm a little disappointed. Actually, I'm very disappointed. I'm not happy because I would really like to have seen at least something this week. And there was nothing. I was like, come on. That's okay, Luca, but I appreciate it. So, I'm interested in that. The other thing, too, is that they're called the scavs, right? Scavs. It also... weirdly, scaffolding. Like, I don't know. I just thought it was kind of funny because there's a lot of scaffolding there. There's a lot. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's one that's knocked over, right? And then there's these little platforms. And I was like, that's just a thought. Now, I also want to show you guys something else because there was a comment on a recent video of mine that talked about the scavs that I genuinely think is one of the coolest ideas. One of the coolest ideas for the scavs. Will they do it? I don't know because it might be a little bit deep cut, but to me, I think it's one of the best ideas that could be for the scavs. Something that was completely different, but something that was so cool. Okay. Get ready for this. If we remember, there were originally, if we go back to the original Insomniac files, there were seven different dragon clans, right? You had your artisans, you had your peacekeepers, you had your magic crafters, you had your beast makers, and of course you had your dream weavers. But there were two others. There was the aquafires, and then there was the machinists. Now, the one that we know that definitely got more development was the machinists, because the machinists, actually a lot of the stuff that they were working on was scrapped and recycled into Nasty's Nasty's world. Right? That's where a lot of it is industrial, right? And the aquafires was cut because they couldn't get swimming working as well in the first game. So, get ready for this. Somebody left a comment on a video, and it said this. From @RespawnGod, I had a thought during this video. The scavs, potentially scavengers. The name has an air of industrial intent. Given the draconic vibe of the unknown character, could the scavs be a remnant of the machinist's dragon clan? If Toys for Bob went back to the scrap concepts, that could be interesting. I saw this, and the possibilities and the neurons in my brain lit up like a Christmas tree of how awesome would that be for it to be this exiled dragon clan that was originally a part of the dragon world, originally a part of the original clan of dragons. Okay. They were sent to a different realm. And after they were sent to a different realm, they assembled an army, and they want to come back and march back to take back the dragon realms. And it's industrial. They're industrial. It's all metal and magic, and they're destroying the world. And it's a really, I think that is a wonderful idea. I think that is really, really cool. I think that would be fun to explore, where you have like a clash of the magical worlds being industrialized by metal and machinery, and it's magic versus science. It's these dragons, and then you could have it where, like, let's say these dragons eventually had lost their dragon-esque abilities because they were so far away from that magic, and so they kind of had to adapt and change into these half machine, half magic creatures that Spyro has to contend with and deal with. I think, like I said, the neurons in my brain went up like a Christmas tree as to what you could do with this. And I think that would be a really, really cool idea. Power armor. Yeah, like there are different ways that you could go with it that I think would be really cool. And hey, Star, and it's a deep cut. It's a deep cut reference. And, they were originally cut. And so it's like the people that don't know or not into, that are not really in the know for Spyro would still think, oh yeah, this is kind of cool. This is kind of neat. But then for those who do know would be like, oh my gosh, that is so cool. And you still get dragons. You still have dragons. And then if you wanted to, you also could bring in the aquafires too. And maybe the aquafires are the ones that are being taken over. You have water dragons, and their stuff is getting polluted, and their stuff is getting polluted, their stuff is getting destroyed, and they're like, we just want to swim in peace, we just want to do our thing, and the scavs are destroying it, and they're trying to also invade the dragon realms. Like, there's so many, like, my brain was just going off with ideas that could be like, and there's still scavengers, right? But they would be scavenging metal. They would be scavenging and putting things together. And they're these dragons that have lost their magic and are just angry, and they're upset, and they want to take back they want to go back to the dragon realms and take it over. And I think that would be really, really cool. You could have like steam engine, locomotive science. Like, there's a lot of really cool ideas. So that's something that I think would be really, really fun to see. I would really, really love to see that. Just letting you guys. So before we get to the final thing, and then we go to the final Q&R, if you want to support the channel, you can in multiple different ways. You can subscribe, you can like the stream. If you want to financially help, you can. There's a link in the description below, or through Super Chat, whichever means you like. I prefer Streamlabs, but Streamlabs, if you do want to do that, I do prefer Streamlabs, but Streamlabs is picky, so, you know, that's just, you know, just let you know. It does help me be able to continue this full time, and I appreciate all the love and support. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's get into the big topic that I think is going to cause ruffled feathers. So much so that I think I'm going to be making not one, but 2 videos about it. 2. Because I have a lot of feelings about this, and I know that a lot of other people have a lot of feelings about this. So let me get right into it. I went on Twitter and I asked a very broad question. I asked, pulls grenade pin, should Cinder be in Spyro A Realm Beyond? No, not as a skin/recolor. I mean her own individual character. She also doesn't have to be playable. Your answers may or may not be included in a video. Right? 77.8% of you said yes. 22.2% of you said no after 920 votes. Now, there's a better, even more flushed out one over here. Create post. So here we go. Over here, I put the same post on YouTube, the exact same post, with 5.5. See, I went on Twitter. Yeah, that was your first mistake. Yeah. Then, should Cinder be in Spyro A Realm Beyond? 72% say yes. 28% say no. Right? After 5.5 thousand votes. So clearly, there is a want and or desire for Cinder to be in it. So I want to talk about Cinder for a moment, and I'm going to be turning this into a video, but this is kind of more of my raw thoughts. So I want you to understand this. I am going to admit something to you. I have had a disconnect with the character Cinder for a long time. Am I saying I don't like the character? No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying I don't like the character. I'm saying that I have felt a disconnect. And I sat down and I couldn't figure out why. I'm like, why do I feel such a disconnect with this character? Why do I not understand it? I don't understand her. I don't get it. Why is there such a disconnect for me? So actually, I sat down and I had a chat with Lord of the Dragon. And when you put her story down on paper, it is a tragic story. So if you're unfamiliar with the story of Cinder, essentially, her egg was abducted when Gaul attacked the keep holding the dragons. All the other eggs were smashed, and Cinder was the one that was abducted. Gaul takes her back, and after she hatches, she is tortured, abused, corrupted with dark magic, and taught a dark doctrine of Malefor, and she's now believes that Malefor is her dark master, and she becomes a machine of war. All of these things, that is horribly tragic, right? That is horrifyingly tragic. That's terrible. But then, when Spyro defeats her in the first game, she shrinks back down to her normal size. And then she's normal. She just acts normal. She's like, oh, I feel bad about what I did, though. The character that we see on screen versus the character that we talk about and have known about don't match. They don't match. They don't match. The character that we see on screen and the story that we're told, this story is so dark, but the character that we see experiences none of the side effects of that darkness only until the plot requires it. And I finally figured out what my problem with Cinder is. The disconnect there in between is that why is she, this is such a dark story, but what she actually talks about in game and the way that she's actually portrayed doesn't match. Because unfortunately, we've had these stories before. We have seen these stories before, and it's still a thing where you have, it's the problem is that we have child soldiers today. We have children of cult-like people. We have all these things. So when we look at the results of that, even in real life scenarios, it's these children are underdeveloped. These children don't understand. They're borderline feral, right? They are borderline. Some of them are like feral. Some of them have Stockholm syndrome and want to go back. Even though that they were brainwashed, they want to go back, or they're confused, they're conflicted, and she doesn't understand. And the people they don't understand, they're like, wait, all my life I've been taught this, but it's not true. They have dreams, nightmares, and they're not trusting of the new people. And yet Cinder all of a sudden is like, hey guys, I feel tired and I feel bad about what I did, but I'm, and then, the second game is, I have a guilty conscience and my fate is out there. I need to go out there. Bye, Spyro. I feel bad about what I did. And I'm like, it doesn't make sense to me. And the reason why that doesn't work is because you have a character that has a really, really, really dark background, and it's not shown on the screen. And the reason why is because those themes can't really be explored, because Spyro as a game is catered to a younger audience. It's a more lighthearted game. And yes, there are dark elements and there are darker themes that come up, but they don't show them. Being guilty is fine. No. I'm not saying being guilty is a not normal response. It is a normal response. But, and more. There's more. It's not just I'm feeling guilty. It's deep. It's a lot deeper, right? It's deeply traumatic, but we have this. And also, too, she's not going to know herself. She's not going to know all these different things. So in my opinion, the disconnect is it doesn't make sense because Cinder is acting normal. Not to mention, she was raised by apes. She was raised by apes, for goodness sakes. If she was turned back to a child, she shouldn't be able to speak fluent English. It should be broken English because she was never shown love. She was never raised by anybody who loved her or took care of her. She should almost be feral, right? And even though she's shrunken down and she's not corrupted, all she has known is that. When you even show somebody who has been abused all of their life, love and stuff, sometimes they don't just, oh, I'm doing great. It's, no. There's love, there's things that need to be drawn out. So there's a lot here where I think that we can, if we were to do Cinder, in my opinion, I think that we can make it not as dark, but make it more expand, right? I don't think that we can copy and paste the same story from Legend of Spyro. And if she is to show up in the new Spyro game, I don't think I think her story can still be dark, still be emotional, still be traumatic, but not child soldier abused, tortured, and beaten to death all of her life. Because I'm going to make a terrible comparison here. It's like 11 from Stranger Things. When 11 got out of the lab, 11 gets out of the lab and she meets with the boys. She's developmentally behind. She has a hard time speaking English. She doesn't understand things. She's scared of everything. She's nervous. She doesn't understand. She's done terrible things. She's done awful things and she feels guilty about them, but she's timid. She's scared. Sometimes she's outright aggressive. And these are traits, right? And it makes sense. But because The Legend of Spyro was catering to a younger audience, they couldn't explore those. But then I say, then why go that far? Why go that far if you can't go that deep? If you can't go that deep, why go that far in the story to begin with? And this is where I feel that there is a disconnection. Where I think it would be interesting is let's still have a tragic backstory for Cinder, but one that is approachable, that we can sit down and we can flesh out and we can explain. Ones that we can, one that we can actually dive into and actually foil and figure out. And if we also take, and so this is where my take is. If Cinder is going to show up in a realm beyond, okay, my thought, and I've said this in previous videos, is that she should be a foil. If you don't know what a foil is like a compliment, where sweet, salty, they foil each other, right? That's a foil. Spicy, bland, foil, right? One makes the other one stand out, and one makes the other one different, and you can see the differences. And of course, ultimate foil, white, black, ultimate foil, hero, villain, good guy, bad guy. Those are foils, right? The bad guy brings out the best of the good guy, and the good guy brings out the best of the bad guy in terms of those attributes. What I think would be really interesting is that Cinder would be a foil to Spyro. But they're both heroes. I think that Cinder can still be a hero, much like Spyro, except Spyro wanted to be the hero. Spyro is Superman. Cinder is Batman. Cinder had to become a hero. Spyro became a hero and he relishes in it. And he loves it. He loves the glory. He loves it. Like, bring it on. Like, he goes up to the bad guy and goes, bring it, right? Cinder had to become a hero out of force. She had to. And she doesn't want to be. She doesn't want to be a hero. But she has to. She feels the responsibility. She feels that I got, something happened to her that was tragic and horrible that forced her to have to become the hero. And she doesn't want to. Spyro wants to be the hero. He wants to be the hand, he wants to be Superman. He wants to be that. He relishes in it. He's cocky. He's arrogant. He's funny. He's, Cinder wants to sneak around. Cinder doesn't want to fight. Cinder wants to just, hey, stealth, take him out, get out. That's it. We have a mission. We have a thing we got to do. Let's get out. And Cinder can have still that tragic character and fleshed out. And that's the key word here, is fleshed out, because Cinder's original story is not fleshed out well. It's not. We know what happened, but there are holes, they don't make sense, and there's a disconnect. But if we have Cinder that is a more, not as dark, not child soldier and beaten and tortured and all these terrible things, but a child soldier because she had to step up to the responsibility because something happened and a parent died. Something that you can still talk about, that's still approachable for a child to be able to comprehend and understand, that's still tragic and tragic on a universal level, and something that a child could comprehend, right? So I think that would be interesting. That would be interesting. But there are other routes that can be done too. If they turn around and they do, like the same similar story where she's serving the Dark Master and then Spyro saves her and she turns back to normal, she still should be like feral. She should still be angry at Spyro and be like, what did you do to me? And then the dark corruption is gone, but she still has to now adjust. And then when Spyro talks with her, she's quiet. She doesn't want to talk. She doesn't understand. Then after a while, she will talk, but is very, not simple-minded, but very slow to respond, and very anxious and timid and nervous and not being able to understand why. And as Spyro shows her and explains to her and helps her heal and help her understand and help her grow, and then she finds a community. So either way, if we go either way, there's a way to go about it. There's a way to go about it to make her story not feel like there's such a disconnect. And I feel like it would be really cool to go deeper with it. No, sorry. I think it'd be really cool if it's fleshed out better. It doesn't need to be as deep or as dark. It doesn't need to be as dark because, yeah, if you were to show everything that happened with Cinder, it's traumatic and it's overly traumatic, but we don't go into it and Cinder doesn't dive deeper into it. It doesn't translate. It doesn't make sense. Right? But again, we don't want it to be do we want a Spyro focused game, or do we want a Cinder focused game? We also could outright steal one of my old ideas. And I want to to get into this. I made an idea. I made a Cinder video years ago. What if Cinder is introduced in the game, but she's not playable? She's a character. It's a Spyro-focused game, and we see Cinder, and she's not playable. Having said that, post-launch, a few months later, they announce a DLC pack where you get to play as Cinder in Cinder-specific levels, where it's, hey, you get a few areas where you get to play as Cinder, and also, if you want to now go and explore the world as Cinder, post-game, you can do that if you want. Right? Where I like that idea. And I like that idea. I like the idea of, hey, Spyro's story is over, and now we get an epilogue of Cinder. I would be okay with that. I would be okay with, like, Spyro's story is over. Now here's an epilogue of Cinder. Maybe how she got there, or maybe her exploration leads to the plot and point of the next game. There was another idea that I had that I thought would have been a really interesting, um, a really funny idea that I thought would be another funny story idea that could be is that uh, she has a darkness within her, and let's say Spyro shows up to a realm beyond. This is just a idea point. It doesn't have to be the plot of the game. I'm saying that it could be a plot. Spyro shows up, and eventually we find another small dragon, and it's Cinder, and she's trying to help people, and she's trying to take care of people. But Spyro notices that all the people that she's trying to help, afterwards, they are all avoiding her like the plague, and she's okay with it. And she's fine with it, and she's trying to be happy, and she's trying to be all these things, and all these people are avoiding her. Spyro asks what happens to all these villages that burn down, and Cinder explains that the scavs have sent an evil to just absolutely destroy it. And we can even hear her being solemn and forlorn and looking off and explaining about how there was a darkness that came and destroyed them, and she's trying to make it right. She's trying to fix it. And eventually, the plot twist, as we find out, is that Cinder has a darkness inside of her that the scavs could control, and that we find out she is the darkness. She is the one that gets, and then on the snap of a finger by the scav, she transforms, destroys things, comes back, and when she's back in her own mind, she's trying to fix all the destruction that she did, and feels horrible inside and feels that she is a monster. But then Spyro does something to be able to help pull that darkness out from her so that she can now just stay and resume in her form, and the scavs have no control over her anymore. And the plot twist would be that she's the darkness, she's the evil, she's the one that is destroying everything. And then when she resumes back to her normal form, she may not even fully remember, but she's alluded to it. She thinks it maybe, but she's not sure, because she doesn't remember. It's kind of weird, but she's trying to help them. So there is an idea there for a side plot point where she says there's a darkness that comes and destroys everything. She's trying to stop the darkness. She's trying to stop it. And then we find out from one of the villagers, you could even have like a plot point where you save somebody, and they're like, the leader of the village is like, you get away from us. And Spyro's like, well, we just saved you. It's like, no, she's the darkness. She's the one that's destroying us. She's the one. And Spyro looks at her, and she's kind of like confused, but she's also kind of thought about it. And like, she's kind of feels guilty, but she wasn't sure. So there's an interesting plot point that you could go there. But again, I don't know how deep in the weeds you could go with the plot and story with that. Maybe as a side plot and not the main capital P plot, but maybe there's 4 or 5 missions where you play as, the game takes over, where you play as Spyro helping Cinder save the city from the destruction. And every time Spyro shows up, everything's burning down, and she's like, Spyro, you gotta help me, the darkness showed up and destroyed everything, let's go save the villagers. And then you get a little bit more. It's like maybe like a 3 or 4 side plot mission where then we find out that Cinder was the darkness. And then once you complete that mission, if you complete that mission, maybe there's like a hub area where she will return to, and that she will help in the final fight against the scavs, something like this. So there's a whole potential side plot that you could do where she is a corrupted dragon trying to save people from the destruction that she is causing. right? Then so there could be like a sub boss that is controlling. So what there could be, so just let my brain rigmarole and cook for a moment. Imagine there are side characters, maybe not necessarily just Cinder, but other similar side characters where you're doing side missions with them. And when you reach the end of their submission, there is a boss that you have to fight. And once you beat them and beat that boss and beat that subplot, that character then returns back to that home world or that sub area where you can hang out with them. And the more that you get done, they will help in the final boss fight. And there's an ending where, let's say you beat the game without collecting everybody, you beat the game, but then there's 106% ending where after you've collected and beaten and gotten everybody to help in the final fight, you get an additional ending that will then, set up for the next game or set up maybe like a secret boss or whatnot. And, so there's sideline quests to be able to help these people. And then there's a sub boss of the scavs, and you have Cinder, which she's not playable, but she's got 4 or 5 missions where Spyro helps out with her. And then you have Alora, but let's say it's a new character where you got 4 or 5 missions with her, and you got these side missions. And then once you complete their whole story mini arc, they return back to the hub base where you can talk and interact with them. And in the final fight, they help out. Ember and Flame, you could do that too. It doesn't necessarily have to be dragons, but if you want to include dragons in there, that would be okay. That I think would be really interesting and really cool. I think I think there's a lot of interesting things at play here that you could work with. So we just hit an hour, which I'm shocked I was able to do with just a few things written down. So now we're going to get to questions. If you guys got questions, please fire them away and I will try my best to answer them. We're not going to open the Q&A section this time because we only have about 120 people watching. So I think we had to do the Q&A thing before because we were having at some point like 300 people and it was a lot. So it was hard to be able to sift through the questions with, around 300 people. Now we have 100 people. We can do that. You look great, Canadian guy. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. I feel great. So, Tara Strong or Cree Summer for Ember, voice actor of Zuko or Flame. I think either would be strong. I think I would rather go with Cree Summer for Ember. I think Tara Strong is great, but I think that Cree Summer might be the better pick for Ember. You could make Tara Strong for Cinder. I wouldn't be opposed to Tara Strong as Cinder. Because Tara Strong can go more into that more rougher voice, in my opinion. So, hey, Dylan Rose, how's it going? Has anyone asked Toys for Bob about Cinder or other characters from stuff? I did ask Toys for Bob about other playable characters. That was my first question are there going to be other playable characters beyond Spyro? And I was told we're not talking about that today. We're specifically focusing on Spyro and this game. So that was I did ask a question about that. If Cree Summer came back, then people would go, wow, Summer was Cinder in A New Beginning. That would be interesting, actually. I didn't know that she was Cinder. I didn't know if they brought back Cree Summer, then as Cinder, I think that would be cool then. Then I recant my statement. And maybe put Tara Strong, or maybe... Actually... No, Tara Strong did Bubbles, didn't she? Powerpuff. Okay, so you know what? Then I recant my statement and completely rewind on what I said. Cree Summer back as Cinder and Tara Strong as Ember. I think that would be... Tara Strong was Ember in A Hero's Tale. I didn't even know that. Gee, shows you how much I know about the voice actors outside of the original trilogy, other than, Elijah Wood. Yeah. I like Tara Strong, but I'm ready to see other VAs get spotlight. That's true, too. But Tara Strong's Bubbles is really Like, that's really strong. Do you know where they could go? I didn't even think about this. This might be... I might be leaning too much into casting like big AAA celebrities. But what if Cinder was voiced by a very much Wednesday Addams? What if she is... What if Cinder had a very Wednesday Addams-esque voice? And like a dark humor like that. Like a satirical dark humor like Wednesday Addams. Yeah, Jenna Ortega. Like lean into it. Like say, hey, Jenna Ortega, our take on Cinder is Wednesday Addams, but a dragon. Just flat faced, dark humor. Or who voiced? Oh no. You would bring back Tara Strong again. What if you brought back Tara Strong for Cinder and had her do a very you bring Tara Strong back for Cinder and you have her do like a Raven from Teen Titans. Right? There's a lot that you could go with. I don't play Deltarune. Having said that, I did see the Spyro reference. I did see the Spyro reference in Deltarune, which I thought was really, really cool. So it's okay for it to not be as deep because there's depth. Let me explain this. Let me explain it like this. I want you to imagine this. I want you to imagine. Okay. This is Cinder right now. Okay. I want you to picture this character chart. Okay. It's hard to read. Cinder. Okay. This is the depth of the character. That is how deep a character can be. That's a pretty deep depth. That's child abuse. That's all these things. And let me show you what's fleshed out. That's it. So you have this deep character, and that square is where they have it fleshed out. What I'm proposing is a character with that much depth with that much fleshed out. That's what I'm proposing. A character not as necessarily as deep, but going maybe not as deep, but more fleshed out. I think that is what I'm going for, and that is what I'm pitching. And that's what I think would work better for A Realm Beyond for Cinder. Because having all this deep depth, but only explaining up here and none of this over here. And like, oh, we can't go that deep. So we're not going to go that deep. Well, then why make it that deep to begin with? Right? That's the thing is, why make it try to go that deep but not remotely flesh it out? You can still have things unfleshed out so that there's a bit of things that are alluded to and that people can dive deep into, but having so much and then only having surface level stuff, no. So
I have a question.
You have a question?
Yes.
What's your question, my love?
If Sparks was to talk,
no.
do we want it?
No.
Should we bring back?
No.
Should we bring back the Emperor?
No. Why are you asking this question? She already knows. She already knows that voiced Sparks. No, just go back. That's it. Let's bring that back. I don't want Cusco. Okay.
Why not?
Follow me. No. No.
I think you need to give it another thought.
Okay, I've given it another thought. It's still dumb.
I'm gonna fix your hair here for you.
Yeah, my hair's gone a little.
You took a shower last night, so now you got crazy hair.
Yeah, no, we're not doing this. No, we're not doing Cusco. No.
Okay.
You're still smiling. No.
Do Cusco.
No.
Do
No.
Gronk. Anyway, I just wanted to know if you were ending at 2 or 3 or 2:30.
Either 1:30 or 2.
All right.
So.
Mwah.
I love you.
We'll hold off on our hype then.
Yeah.
Oh, child.
It's the end of the world as we know it. Absolutely not. Should bring back the Alchemist too while we're at it. I mean, I would prefer the Alchemist over Kronk, Sparks. Oh yeah, it's all coming together. You know what would be funny? Hold on. If they bring back Finn from Skylanders, who's voiced by Patrick Warburton, and they have Sparks and Finn, and there's they figure out some way where you have David Spade and Patrick Warburton have some sort of interaction or some sort of reference. Maybe Sparks hates Finn. And you can even have a throwaway line where, don't worry, I probably threw off his groove. It's just something as a deep cut joke, the fact that he was voiced by David Spade. It's not David Spade that's voicing Sparks. It's still regular Sparks, but Patrick Warburton interacts with Sparks as if he's being voiced by Cusco. Like there's an Emperor's New Groove Cusco joke in there where Sparks hates Finn for some reason. There's a hatred, and Finn is just like laid back. He's like, don't worry, right? Probably threw off his groove. Just like, Flynn. Sorry, Flynn. Sorry, Finn, Flynn. Sorry, Flynn. That was Finn. Flynn. Sorry, Flynn. But imagine, because Flynn is voiced by Patrick Warburton. I'm just saying. Because I want actual voice actors, not just random celebrities. Yes, that too. Tom Holland as please no. If it's like, oh gosh, if I start like, please. Okay, hang on a second. Let's talk about this for a second. The only thing is that if they are going to bring back like big names, Chris Pratt as Sparks, please. Please, I will end the stream immediately. I'm threatening I am threatening the integrity of the stream if you sit there. I am threatening the integrity of the stream. Chris Pratt as Sparks, kill me. No offense against Chris Pratt, but no. So I'm okay with celebrity. I'm okay with celebrity voice actors if they're actual voice actors. Like Tom Kenny, he's a voice actor through and through, right? But again, if you have, if you have Mark Hamill show up, right? Mark Hamill is a celebrity, but he's also a voice actor, so it works, right? So if Mark Hamill is the villain, which that would just be just that would just be absolutely awesome. That would be amazing. I would also love, I have a request, because he is a voice actor and he's both a voice actor and a celebrity. Can Alan Tudyk please be in this game? Please, can we put Alan Tudyk into this game in some way? I don't know how, but can we please get Alan Tudyk doing something in this game? If you guys don't know who Alan Tudyk is, he is a gem of a human being. I love Alan Tudyk, but he is also like a voice actor, a really good voice actor. He's both a really good actor and voice actor. So I'm okay with certain actual good voice actors, but I also agree too that we should see some new up and comers be voiced in this game. But I got a feeling that we're going to see a lot of voice actors that we already have heard of quite a bit, because there is an established relationship between Activision and a lot of other voice actors, like Fred Tatascore, for example. We're probably going to hear him. We're probably going to hear JB Blanc. We're probably going to hear, and I hope they bring back JB Blanc. If you guys don't know, JB Blanc voiced, what, he does a lot of voices. So if you guys don't know, JB Blanc voiced Vander in Arcane, but he also voiced, here's a fun fact, and this is going to be hilarious to some of my friends who know this exactly. JB Blanc voiced Vander in Arcane. He was also Moneybags in the Spyro Reignited trilogy. JB Blanc was Moneybags in the Reignited trilogy, the same voice actor who was Vander in Arcane. And Warwick. So we probably, but the thing is that JB Blanc, there are reoccurring voice actors going all the way back to there are voice actors going all the way back to Skylanders, Fred Tatascore, Joe DiMaggio. Oh, we got some bits from I didn't even realize that we had a raid there. I am so sorry. I was just so much in the vibe and the flow. I totally missed. We have a raid from Crayons. How's it going, Crayons? Hi, the Meek Warrior. How's it going? Vander. Yes, he is fantastic. Yeah, he's also Brahmin Legion of Legends. Yes, he is. Thank you so much for the 30 bits, the Meek Warrior. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. From Meek. Is it from Meek? Okay. Thank you, Meek Warrior. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for rating. I appreciate that. I apologize that I was completely just, my brain was completely split on that. But Vander was so cool. There's so many cool voice actors that you can hear, but there are a lot of reoccurring voice actors. Here, I will just do a quick Google search and hope that the AI will, understand my question, because good golly, the bloody AI is awful sometimes. And okay, hold on. Actors. So you can add Dash AI to not have the AI blast. I didn't know that. Awesome. Because sometimes, oh man, sometimes I go to answer something and the AI answers. I'm like, I'm like, you are so dumb. Oh, we have no idea what the budget is. We have no clue. There is no way that, unless they come out and say it, there is no way we can figure that out. The only thing that I can maybe lean into and think about is the fact that they definitely hold on. Okay, so here are the yeah. Okay, yeah. Here's definitely the reoccurring. So there are basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 voice actors that have basically been in a lot of games from the Skylanders era all the way up to A Realm Beyond. There's obviously Tom Kenny, right? Who was Spyro, but I guess he was also Stink Bomb in the Skylanders series. I didn't know that. Then Fred Tatascore, who is Dingo Dial, Koala Kong, Komodo Joe. He was not Nasty Nork. That's wrong. Thanks, AI. That's awful. He was not Nasty Nork. But you have Fred unless he was in replacement for CTR. That's possible. He might have been Nasty in CTR. I don't know. We'll get back to that. But Fred Tatascore, I know, has voiced a lot of characters. He was also apparently Snapshot, yeah. Slam Bam, yes, and Warnado. And he was also Wallop as well. Man, this stuff, unless that's a TV show, unless they're going off the TV show with this, because this is awful. Richard Steven Horvitz, who was Chaos and Lonnie Lowly, that is correct. Jess Harnell, who was Crash Bandicoot for the Insane Trilogy and then Nitro Fueled, and apparently he was Blast Zone. Greg Berger, who was Hunter the Cheetah and no, he was Ripto, not Hunter, but he was originally Ripto. And then he was apparently Slobber Trap and Magna Charge. Not sure. John DiMaggio, who was Uka Uka and Tiny Tiger, which is correct, and Washbuckler. And then Corey Burton, who was Dr. Engine and Dr. Entropy, and was apparently Bouncer. So, Fred didn't voice Nasty in CTR. Okay. Why are they saying that Fred Tatascore voiced Nasty Nork? Because, man, I hate these AI searches driving me nuts. Apparently he was Latif? He was Latif in the Reignited trilogy? Yeah. Thanks. Thanks, AI. Appreciate it. You're like, that, man. Talk about, man, live on stream. I'm like, all right, this should be a simple question. Can't even get that done. Like, oh, brother. Oh, brother, this guy stinks. Come on, man. You do complex math, but you can't figure out reoccurring characters? Drives me nuts. Yeah, he voices Parthenax from Skyrim. That's wild. I love those things. Yeah, it was Michael Goff. Yeah. Okay, so what man. So yeah, we're missing Michael Gao, who could be is it Gao or Goff? Was he nasty? I feel like I know this guy too. he also apparently did it for A Hero's Tale as well. So like he's done. Kind of funny that he's done like 3 different takes of Nasty Nork, which is kind of wild. So, all right, let's go to some other questions because I kind of went on a rant there. But my point is that they have a shared batch of voice actors that they use a lot of, that they like to reuse. So I think that we're going to be seeing a nice like group of them probably return because they have an established relationship. They already know how it works. It would be cool if there was some involvement of Cortex's voice actor. That would be interesting. Do you think they scaled down on the scope compared to Reignited? At least they have much less dubs and translations than Reignited. I don't think so, Pixel to Retro. In fact, I would say that it is going the opposite direction. I think it is a much bigger scope. You have to think. So, okay. Let's do this live on stream, for example. Let's do this timeline and figure this out, because when does spring 2027 start? Because I'm going to make sure I get this right, because everyone was correcting me on my one video, and I even put a pinned comment, and people were still making comments, and I was like, oh my gosh, you guys are driving me nuts. The first spring equinox is Saturday, March 20th, 2027. Okay, so March 20th, 2027, technically, is when spring starts in 2027. And when does spring 2027 end? Is Monday, June 21st. Okay. So, March, April, May, June. So, Spyro could be dropped if we average it. What? That would be March 20th. March. That's 4 months, right? Was that 3 months technically? It's technically 3 months. So 3 months. Okay. 3 months. So I'm going to give a predicted date. The average date that Spyro could come out. This is just by the law of averages. And then rounding to the closest day. Because typically they release on Tuesdays, right? They typically drop games on Tuesdays. For some reason. It's either Tuesday or Fridays. I'm going to say I'm going to guess May 11th. I'm going to go with a fun date of May 11th. 2027. Because 11 is really fun. January, February, March, April. Ooh, they could drop it in April for it to be 4. What day does 4 lands on a Sunday? That could have been really funny. So let's say I'm going to ballpark it. I'm going to say May 11th, 2027. That's where, by the law of averages, they technically have all the way till like almost the end of June, which I would be fine if they go there. But if we go by the law of averages, it's going to be around May 11th. So, so let's say May 11th is when Spyro shows up, okay? All right. So, May 11th. If we say that that's when Spyro showed up, we know for a fact. Now, hang on a second. Also, I forgot about this because we can kind of actually sort this out a little bit. Do 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 do. We got to find it. I got to find it. There it is. Bang. Okay. So we go over to here and let me go back to here. So I can bring this back up now because people were sitting here and telling me that I was wrong. That I was wrong. And my eyes twitching. And now that hindsight is 2020, okay, can we, at the bare minimum, come to a conclusion and say that this is when they were coming together and figuring out whether or not they wanted to do Spyro? Quote, we took some time out to get together and share our latest experiments in Unreal Engine 5. It was a full day of excellent presentations with plenty of learnings and fresh ideas for the new year. So many people were yelling at me about this, saying it meant absolutely nothing. That it meant absolutely nothing. And here it is here, meaning absolutely something. And the date of this was December 18th, 2023. And the hardline development started when they went indie, which was February. So we also know that, I'm going to pull up my thing. I have a thing. A thing, which is important. From Paul Nelson. So, Paul Nelson led a team of 8 artists in a special Unreal Engine 5 exploration project, which was instrumental in a pitch presentation for the studio. Snare. 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 Nah. 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 Yeah. 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 Am I still insane? Am I still picking at nothing? Is my research for naught? Okay. So, this was their pitching phase, and they were figuring out what they wanted to pitch, going all the way into about January. Between December and January was pitching, presenting, and then leading into February where the paperwork was signed, and ta-da, the game started development. So, let's say that the game started, let's say, am I still insane? You really want an answer? Hey. Let's say we go, you were never insane. Good. So let's say development is, if we go May 11th, let's pinpoint it and say they started, let's say February. Let's put it as February, and we'll, just to make math easier, February 11th. They would have started that in 2024, right? So we have February 11th, 2024, May 11th, 2027. That means that that's going to be 3 years. February, March, April, May. To give you guys an idea, this is going to be a 3-year and about 3-month development cycle. If they go to June, we might as well say between 3 to 3. It's going to be 3.25 to 3.5 years of development. This is Toys for Bob's longest game that they've had in development ever. And I'm talking going all the way back to the 90s where they started with Star Command. Okay? This is the longest game that they have had in development from when they started to when they ended. It's still going to be between 3 years and 3 months to 6 months. To give you an idea, Reignited was done in a year. Now, granted, they had a bigger team. Granted, they had a lot more. They had a bigger team. They had a lot more people. So there is a give and take here. But that is still 3 times the amount of development time that Reignited got. 3 times. So I'm just saying. It's pretty good, if you ask me. It's pretty good. I think that that's pretty good. And I'm excited for that. I am very excited for that. So, no, there was another game called Star Command. It has nothing to do with Boo's Lightyear. So, okay. So, any final questions? We're going to leave the stream open for another 15, 20 minutes. Any final questions? Doesn't have to be Spyro related. Could be pretty much anything that we want. What kind of coming of age do you think we'll see? I think that it would be really interesting to see if maybe we see something where Spyro is super cocky and confident and he gets knocked on his butt. And the coming of age is being a little bit more like, hey, let's, you need to have a little bit, maybe need to be knocked down a peg or two and then learn that you need help and power. So there is that. There is going to be video, perhaps even 2 videos related when it comes to Cinder. And we're going to be talking about that. Cinder in 2 specific videos where I think that what people think and how she should be implemented, and then how she should be rewritten. So there's 3 different ways that we can do it. Where's the soonest we'll have something new shown from Toys for Bob Game Awards? No, sooner, much sooner. I'm thinking Gamescom could be a big like reveal there. We could get a big thing at Gamescom. We get a big thing at Gamescom. I think Gamescom would be really good. Cinder, my beloved. If you were in charge of the new Spyro merch for A Realm Begun, what would you have made? So of course you would definitely, of course, you need to have your shirts, right? You need to have your typical stuff. You need to have your shirts, your tumblers, your you need a mug, and you need mugs. Listen, okay, we're dealing with millennials here. Millennials are all about their coffee, okay? All about their hot drinks, okay? Mugs. Okay, mugs, 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 mugs. I want tumblers. I want mugs. I want, you know, anything you could put a hot drink in and enjoy it. Put it on there. Those Stanley cups, okay? Those giant Stanley cups, okay? All of them. Okay, massive ones, okay? I want one that where I need to put it on my desk and it almost falls through, okay? Stanley cups, one of those, definitely, okay? So senses of hydration needs to be done, okay? What else would need to be done for Spyro specifically? You could run collectible pins. I would do zip up hoodies. I love I don't know Magnus Chasing the Gods of Asgard. I've never heard of it before, Elena. Zip up hoodies. I love zip up hoodies, and there's not enough of them. And the zip up hoodies you always get are the ones that just have like a logo here and maybe something on the back, and you zip up because they don't want to do it with the zipper. But no, you gotta go with like a full crazy pins. Yeah, pins. I was thinking that too. Enamel collectible pins. That is awesome and a good idea. Yes, lean into that. 100%. Plushies, of course. Yeah, you gotta go plushies, right? There's a whole bunch of ideas that you can go with. I would love to do like, it would be funny if they did like a specialty coffee. That would be really funny. I think that would be really, really interesting to, like I said, do like a coffee roast, like a dragon roast. That would be neat. Um, Lanyards, that would be cool too. Sheep roast coffee. Don't you have a Spyro mug? I do. I do have a Spyro mug. Is it here or is it in? I have the Spyro G Fuel shaker right here. I have this one, but I also have the actual awesome Spyro body mug that is. I think it might be in the. I think it's in the wash right now. But it was one that my wife had. And she broke it, but then she went and she bought a new one, which was awesome. Try not to sneeze. Ooh. Somebody here, shout out to Dusky real quick. But they did a really interesting take on what the potential villain could be. An attempt on what the new villain might be for A Realm Beyond. Very Skegesky, I'm not sure what that is, inspired. Something as well drawing this guy. Staff reminds me of Sorcerer from SL, Shadow Legacy. Gems looks similar to Ripto's pendant. Crystal reminiscent of Red from. So this just popped up on my Twitter, and it had one like from 12 hours ago. So I was just like, you know what, we're gonna like and retweet this. I like the vulture kind of bird look. You got like dragon vultures. That's pretty neat. I like that. This is an interesting take. I'm intrigued. I think the only thing that I would say that might be a little bit different is that I noticed a little bit more red here. So I don't know if it's going to be like gray. I think it's going to be more like red, but that also could be refraction from the crystals. So, but beyond that, really cool design, Dusky. Really cool. I like it. That looks really neat. Like and retweet live while on Spyro Yap Sesh. Okay, a few more minutes and we gotta hop off. I'm going to keep my opinions about a certain recent animation held back. I'm not going to give my opinions on the show because if I do, I may get yelled at from dependent on whatever I say. So I'm going to stay quiet about it. Having said that, there are some very talented voice actors from the Amazing Digital Circus that I think could be well done, especially Pomni, Regatha, and Kane. Those three, I think, really could be brought over in a Spyro game and have a good time. Optin830 donated $5 super chat. Thank you. Just got back from watching Supergirl. It was all right. Anyway, hopefully Cinder shows up in Spyro 4. Thank you so much. I appreciate for the $5. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope she shows up in a way that is smart and intelligent. Also, I fell asleep for most of Yap Sesh. Oops, that's okay. That's all right. That's okay. We got 5 more minutes. I'm going to wrap up. What do you think of doing one Spyro game than one Crash game like this? I mean, I would be down. I would be down for that. But the problem is going to definitely be that I think we need a second dev. There's going to need to be a second. There's going to have to be a second dev involved if we're going to be doing stuff like that. You're going to need to have a dev that. A secondary dev for Crash and or Spyro to be able to have them come out within a decent amount of time. If there was like a game, Crash, Spyro, rest year, Crash, Spyro, rest year, Crash, Spyro, rest year, I would be fine with that. But I got a feeling that we're going to be having we have Spyro. I got a feeling it's going to be CTR. And I got a feeling it's going to be Crash. And then it's going to be, we're going to be kind of like in the aether. It's going to be kind of in the aether after that. It's going to be, I feel like that we can almost predict that there's going to be a CTR after this, that we got that we can foresee 3 projects. I can foresee 3 projects, which would be CTR, or we got Spyro, obviously. So foresee 2 projects, CTR, and then probably Crash. So we probably have a few years more of content to talk about before we are kind of like in the realm of unknown. At the bare minimum 2, which would be Spyro and CTR. I do believe that we have something there. I'm assuming there's going to be 3 because of the fact that there's the Crash movie. So if that does well, we'll be getting more stuff, more games, more this, more that. I think that would be just fine. So, all right, last question, and then we will wrap it up. We got one more question. Let me see if I can find one. See if there's one that will come up. Final questions. Duke Sar 77 asks, you hope TFB took inspiration from Okami for Spyro 4. Do you think they did? So, and I'm going to expand on this. The thing that I said that it would be a really good inspiration would be specifically the restoring environment, right? To restore a corrupted environment, and it restores and the environment blossoms because of it. That was my main thing that I really, really wanted to hit on. And then Paul brought up Kena Bridge of Spirits and how it did that too. And that's a really good example as well. I think that okay. Let me say it like this. because already I can already hear people taking it out of context. If there was environment restoration in Spyro A Realm Beyond akin to Okami and Kena Bridge of Spirits, I wouldn't stand there and say anything, but inside I would be smiling. Inside I would be like, I feel like I had some, that maybe I seeded an idea there that was really cool. However, I wouldn't have said that if it wasn't for the fact that Paul Yan had made a tweet that directly referenced the same interview that we did together, which was, I guess it wasn't hypothetically. Now, I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you guys something. This was an interview I did with Paul October 24th. So you have to realize the timing of this interview was right when Xbox went indie. Like, right there. Let me show you the moment that
game. And I'm going to be honest, Paul's answer took me by surprise. Where is the question that we all have been asking for years? Where is Spyro 4? Crash Bandicoot got a new game. Why doesn't Spyro get a new game? And I'm going to be honest, Paul's answer took me by surprise. So I'm just going to show you the entire clip in its entirety.
But I agree with you. I agree that Spyro deserves a new game. And it's pretty clear there's an audience for it. We've got some interesting times ahead for Toys for Bob and for Activision in a greater sense. We'll see. But I guess I'll flip it back over to you.
Oh.
Hypothetically, if someone were to embark on making that new game, what are some other games that you'd be looking at?
Now, I'm going to freeze here just for 1 second. I did not expect this question to be slingshotted back at me. And honestly, I instantly felt so much pressure. I didn't want to screw this up, but I took a deep breath, I calmed down, and one game came to mind. In terms of tone, one of the games that I would actually look at is Okami. And one of the reasons that is because the worlds of Spyro are so beautiful. The environment is so pleasing, and in Okami you can have so much interaction where the environment blossoms and changes and is restored. So that idea of being able to take perhaps a level that Spyro approaches that seems a little bit condemned or darkened and not looking great, and then when Spyro saves the day, the whole world opens up in a flourish to show the true beauty, to do like a level reveal almost, to add to that tone, to add to that art, to add to that whimsical relaxation, is that anticipation of what does this world look like when we restore it, and seeing that beauty and seeing that interaction. And I think that that is something that I would look to for a hypothetical Spyro title.
You mentioned that. It reminds me of this game, Kena Bridge of Spirits has some similar blossoming moments as well.
Yeah, Kena would be another great example because it looks like it's straight out of a Pixar film, and just like Spyro. So if there was a spread table, I think Okami, Kena, and those would be really good examples to look at. Hypothetically. After talking with Paul.
Do I need to say more? Do I need to say more? I feel like that Hi, almost done, buddy. Okay, hold on. No, it's okay. That to me is a pretty big inclination towards at least something. I feel like that says a lot in of itself. I know some people would be angry, but because of this tweet, because of this video, because of this interview, if there is a consistent if there is some kind of environment restoration that is a consistent mechanic in the game that is akin to Okami and Kena Bridge of Spirits, what I would do is I would just smile, I would point to the interview, and I would point to this tweet and just say, let you decide. You decide. Yeah, the GIF is kind of funny because that is my reaction. That was my reaction. I was just like, what? So that's, so that's where I'm just saying. So that's all the time I have for today's Yap Sesh. I really appreciate. We should be back next week with another Yap Sesh. And next week we already have a scheduled video, but we're going to be trying to get another big video up next week. We're going to try to go for 2 next week, but we will see. It might be the following week. I will let you know. But thank you all so much for watching, everybody, and tuning in for today's Yap Sesh. And I will see you guys in the next video and or live stream. Time for the countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye.